Forces. This is sad. Supposedly now, you know, Israel always comes up with their own get-out-of-jail-free card. The get-out-of-jail-free card for Israel was she was attacking them with a knife. Unfortunately, the incident was filmed. She was not attacking them with a knife. And the episode was rather grisly. She was shot in both legs and shot again and left to bleed to death while the Israeli Defense Forces were there laughing. This is what happens, folks, when you have occupation. You have an occupying force which is not held accountable, and you have the people that are occupied and they're treated like dogs. I was in front of Mr. White today, kind of listening to him talk, and a question was put to him about negotiating with the Palestinians. You know, I want negotiations with the Palestinians, but before that, I want the U.S. to stop supporting this racist regime of Israel. Stop giving them military support. Stop giving them a veto in the United Nations when the rest of the world wants to condemn them. I think for the U.S. government, it should be against racism wherever it is. And I think Israel is the definition of racism. It has people in it, Palestinians, who don't have the full citizen rights that the Jewish residents do. Something like 60 laws kind of confining the rights of Palestinians. Mr. White was kind of there hem-hawing and he's believing in a two-state solution. But as I see it, there are already Palestinians living in Palestine. Not in Palestine, living in Israel. What happens if there is a two-state? What happens to the Palestinians that are now living in Israel, who have these laws limiting their rights as citizens? My prediction is, of course, that they would be exiled to another country. That's not going to happen. I think the relationship of Israel, the Israeli Defense Forces, to the Palestinians is summed up by ex-military Defense Minister Moshe Dayan. His comment is, the Palestinians can live like dogs. If they want to leave, we'll let them. That's to me is kind of the definition of racism. We come in, this is Foreign Peaceful Response. Today we have a guest speaker. Michael Mayo is going to come before you, give you a little insight about what's what.
My name is Michael Mayo, and I am the Pacific Green Party nominee for U.S. Congress in this district on 3 separate occasions, in 2008, 2010, and 2014. I speak to you then, telling you that I have the honor of joining my fellow protesters against continuous warfare by the United States on the rest of the world in an unconstitutional manner without the approval of Congress. I want to tell you today, in following my friend Herschel Solis' introduction, that an 18-year-old schoolgirl was shot and killed on the streets of Jerusalem by members of the Israeli Defense Force, who then stated that she attacked them with a knife. I'd like to tell you how this comes back to the United States here in Portland today. Do we, in fact, shoot and kill unemployed people here in Portland? Yes, we do. Giving you some example. On the 17th of May this year, Raylan McKay. Oh, isn't it wonderful? She's a woman. We've got cops who are women. Where Raylan McKay shot and killed Michael Sean Harrison because he was armed with a steak knife. That's not all. That's on the 17th of May. On the 28th of June, Michael Currier and Dominic Lovato shot and killed Alan Bellow because he grabbed a starter pistol which has no bullets in him. And then on the 22nd of March, I'm going backwards in time, but I'd like to expand a little upon this incident. On the 22nd of March, Thomas Clark shot and killed Christopher Healy. Now why did Christopher Healy come to the attention of Officer Thomas Clark of the Portland Police Bureau? Why was it that Christopher Healy had to confront Thomas Clark? Well, Thomas Clark, with all of Thomas Clark's emotional problems, was armed with a gun and then killed Christopher Healy without further ado. I'll tell you. Christopher Healy was taking a shower in a friend's house. Christopher Healy is a person who is unemployed and on the streets of Portland. Christopher Healy then had every reason in the world not to trust the police, because that's what happens to you when you excite the interest of the police on the streets of Portland. Christopher Healy was then shot and killed by Thomas Clark. After Thomas Clark shot Christopher Healy, Royce Curtis tasered him. Our police chief then came to the scene, and he told the press how grateful he was that neither of his armed to the teeth minions had been harmed in this confrontation. And what did Christopher Healy do that he was shot and killed by Officer Thomas Clark on the 22nd of March? He had a 2 1/2 inch knife on him. That's why he was shot and killed. This unemployed neighbor and fellow citizen of yours and mine here on the streets of Portland on the 22nd of March of this year. We don't have to go to Jerusalem to see an occupying army. We have one right here in Portland. We have an occupying army that is telling us how nice and generous they are to spend more money every year to shoot and kill unarmed people, to shoot and kill the unemployed, to shoot and kill the street people of Portland. That's the kind of lesson we have to live under in this most progressive of American cities. I also bring you some good news. In May, on the 16th to be precise, 3 protesters against American nuclear weapons were released by order of the appeals court of the 6th District. But it is more important to explain to you why Greg Berthier, Sister Megan Rice, and Michael Wally were released. You might be released because of some technical detail, for example, but not this case. These 3 people were charged with sabotage and aiding and assisting the enemy because they put blood on nuclear weapons. And the appeals court, for the first time in our history, then said that accusing somebody who protests nuclear weapons of sabotage and aiding the enemy is an abuse of prosecutorial discretion. And from this precedent, we can expect that in the future, protesters against nuclear weapons can no longer be brought to court and convicted of treason against this country. Of course, that's a very mild victory. A mild victory indeed, when people are asking that we not massacre millions of people for no reason, are finally proof against being called traitors to the United States. But I am here to tell you that there are some people, among them my fellow protesters, who are not quietly obeying the police state that is being put in place in our city. A police state that kills, as a matter of course, one innocent party after another, saying he pulled out a 2 1/2 inch knife. Here is an example, ladies and gentlemen, where comparative analysis does a lot of good. Do they not have 2 1/2 inch knives in Japan? Do they not have 2 1/2 inch knives in Germany or in Spain? Do you know how many people were killed by the police in Spain, in Germany, and Japan in the last 10 years? It was 0, ladies and gentlemen, 0.
a point. You know, it's, we really can't have a racist foreign policy and expect this policy not to come back home. I mean, some of these people are maybe, you know, they're over there in Afghanistan kicking in doors. A lot of our police, can you believe it, are over there in Israel getting trained, for God's sake. It's a racist government over there, and our police go over there to get trained. It's going to come back home. Something concerned about it. Now, and thank you for the good news, Michael. It's few and far between. There's going to be a celebration, 100-year birthday of Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. These are people that get out there, demonstrate against war, and if you're a demonstrator and you get arrested, they'll help bail you out. They won't forget about people that are out there demonstrating against war. So anyway, Women's International League for Peace and Freedom is celebrating 100th birthday at the First Unitarian Church in Portland on about 12th of May, I think. And it's 1 to 4 p.m. tomorrow. 1 to 4 p.m. 100th year anniversary, Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. We're to be proud of. And it's, you know, there's another march. There's a march from 11:30 from PSU to the church. But the celebration is at the church 1 to 4 p.m. Thank you.
When's the march?
From PSU, there must be a group up there meeting.